interrupt this program to bring you the following special report from 7 News.
For the interruption, but we want to bring you breaking news about the High Park fire that is exploding in the mountains west of Fort Collins. This is video from Air Tracker 7. This was from yesterday, and our helicopter is lifting off again in just a few minutes. Right now, we know the fire has burned at least 14,000 acres. It is 0% contained. 18 structures either burned or destroyed. A number of people still unaccounted for as evacuations continue to be the top priority today. We are waiting on an update from Larimer County authorities on the firefight, and it looks like they're beginning that right now, so let's listen in.
The current acreage is estimated at 14,000 plus acres, so very large fire. The containment is still at 0%, though our crews are working very aggressively on the fire. Structure protection is also the focus. I will emphasize that the 14,000 acre estimate is an estimate at this point, and within that perimeter there are lots of unburned areas. The fires burn pretty spotty because it moves so rapidly through the area. The containment goals are to keep it north of the Buckhorn Road, east of Pingree Park Road, south of Highway 14, and west of the Boyd Gulch Redstone Canyon area. So hopefully we contain it well within some of those boundaries, but that's where we're at this point. With that, I'm just going to open it up to any questions that you may have.
Any more on that possible fatality?
No, yeah, we're still investigating the concerns about whether everybody was able to get out of the evacuation area. We occasionally have some folks that don't have phones or refuse to evacuate, and we're looking into if there's any issues with that or concerns, and continue to investigate. So no additional details on that at this point.
9 News, Nick, received a phone call from a couple of parents, and they are telling us that their son and 3 other people were parked by the Gray Rock parking area, and they were going to camp overnight on Saturday. And the parents got a knock on the door at 1 o'clock in the morning saying, "Hey, we found your son's car, but we don't know where he is." Can you tell us anything about that?
I don't have any information on that at this time.
Are you looking for any campers or hikers who could be missing aside from the residents who are here?
I did actually directly myself receive a report from a family that mentioned that they had some hikers that were in the area. Our deputies took a report and are investigating that at this time.
Earlier in the morning, you guys mentioned that you were looking at the cause of this fire. Any indication at this point what could have started it?
No indication at this point. We are obviously investigating that as well. It's difficult right now to get into the location of the origin of the fire right at the moment.
Still 0 containment?
Still 0% containment.
Can you talk about the weather conditions right now? It's quite cooler than yesterday, but it's still windy, so it's probably, the cooling is helping you, but the wind may not so much.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about the weather. The cooler weather, as we reported earlier, really primarily is helping with firefighter comfort. They're working in very steep terrain, difficult conditions, hauling in lots of gear. It's not a huge factor in the fire behavior itself, but it does help with the resources on the scene. And then if I can find it here, we were predicting 15 to 25 mile an hour wind gusts with some gusts up to 40 miles an hour, generally out of the northwest all day long. Right now it's a little calmer, so that is helpful. And I'm confident our folks are making some gains today as we speak. The 18,000 acreage number we reported earlier today was from last night, so the 14,000 is current estimates from operations in the field right now. And what we'll do is over the night hopefully get some planes up with infrared and be able to do a more accurate map and report new figures tomorrow.
You talk about the number of structures damaged or destroyed.
Yeah, earlier today I was able to confirm that 18 structures have been damaged or destroyed. Structures doesn't necessarily mean that it's a residence, but could be outbuildings, etc. We have to spend some time looking at the situation and determine what exactly was impacted by the fire.
And I completely understand that this is very early on and it could be a guessing game, but do you have any idea whatsoever when you might have any sort of containment?
I don't want to, they're working on that as we speak, so I'm hoping we have some increased containment figures by tomorrow, but I can't say for certain.
Can you talk about the plan for the firefight today? What's the goal?
Yeah, it's first and foremost, we always start with safety, and that includes resident safety. So our focus has been evacuations early this morning and last night. Firefighter and emergency responder safety is also important. And then in addition to that, structure protection has been a focus. We had resources on scene throughout the night working on structure protection, and that continues today. And then establishing and starting that perimeter and building containment as well. We also have communications towers for emergency communications that are in an area of concern up on Bald Mountain. So they're working on that as well to make sure that those are maintained and continue to allow us to communicate effectively. We also have a plan B if those are impacted by the fire, so we can hit other repeaters, etc.
What is the impact? What would happen if those towers are impacted by the fire?
Well, I don't have the details on that. I can tell you our comms people on the incident are working on that throughout the day, both Larimer County and statewide and others. And so they do have other repeaters that they can bounce off of, and even in some cases they can bring in mobile repeaters and set those up as needed. So it would definitely decrease our communications ability, though, and be a big factor in our ability to respond effectively. So we are also trying to put it retardant and just keep that area free of fire to the extent we possibly can.
That being said, are you concerned at all that residents are not getting their information as quickly as they should be? Is there concern about that at all?
I'm not aware of any concerns along those lines in terms of getting information out to residents. We do have a staffed resident information line, 970-498-5500. All the information that we share with the media goes out on that immediately as well. Our website, larimersheriff.org, and then the INCI web website is also updated with fire. Obviously, when you have night conditions and an emergency situation, information trails the incident, so it's not instant. It takes time to determine where exactly the fire is, to complete evacuations and accomplish those objectives. And then it's going to take us some time to determine, with the 18 structures that we've indicated so far have been damaged or destroyed, what exactly those are, who those belong to, etc. So I'm sure residents who've been displaced are frustrated, concerned, and we have a lot of sympathy for them. We are working as quickly as we can to determine which structures were damaged and get that information out to those specific residents first and foremost.
Yesterday, the sheriff said he had several disconcerting reports of missing people within the perimeter. It sounds like you whittled that down to one person.
Well, I won't say just one person. I think there were some concerns with the timing, but generally there are some specific concerns related to potentially an individual and a certain area of the fire.
Can you relay any stories or circumstances in which somebody rode out the fire overnight or didn't get out and was trapped overnight?
I don't have details on anybody who refused to evacuate, though I can tell you we've had a number of those. Our protocol in those cases is to note that and to move on. We do everything we can to encourage them to leave and try to do what we can to get them out of there. But we have had a few folks who've insisted on staying, and we've tried to deal with that. I will say that life safety is paramount in our minds and eyes, and we really encourage any residents in those areas to look at that first and foremost. Property can be replaced. I know it's a horrible thing to have home and other possessions destroyed, but a loss of life is just unacceptable.
Can you talk about the number of people who've been evacuated or the number of homes, if you have any of those numbers?
I can speak to the number of notifications we've sent out to evacuate. We contacted early this morning, last night, etc., approximately 1,600 phone lines. That may or may not correspond to that number of homes, probably something less than that. Some homes up here actually don't have phones at all. Some are cabins and whatnot in remote areas. Others may have multiple phone lines. Some just rely on cell service. We can also send out emergency notifications to cell phones, but they have to be registered for that to work, and that is accomplished through the LETA911.org website. So any folks, residents that are in the area who want those notifications, we encourage them to utilize that resource very strongly.
What are the messages going out on those to those 1,600? Are they different messages, same messages?
It depends. Earlier in the day yesterday, there was some pre-evacuation notifications. Whenever we can, we try to anticipate fire behavior and send those out well in advance, letting people simply know that there's a fire and to be prepared to evacuate so they have time to pack up and remove livestock, etc. In other cases, there were some very urgent evacuation notices that went out that required rapid evacuations. In those cases, our protocol is to have deputies and or firefighters from our office and all the cooperating agencies go door to door whenever possible. And again, if somebody doesn't want to evacuate or is resistant to that, we note that and have to move on for their safety, the safety of our responders, and to continue notifying other residents. But that's our protocol, so we have some redundancy in that. It's not foolproof. There are people who are difficult to reach or may not be home or may not be in an easily identifiable location. So we are concerned about that at this point.
Any idea how many evacuations? You know how many families are around?
I don't. It's impossible to know a number of evacuations. A number of the residents may be empty, unoccupied, and so we know how many notifications went out, but we don't know exactly how many people were directly impacted. You had a question over here? Oh, Pamela.
How many doors you guys knocked on?
I don't know the number of doors. They had a very systematic approach of knocking on. I mean, I witnessed some of it, and my guess is we missed very few, if any, doors, but there might have been a few in particularly the Old Flowers area where the fire moved in very, very quickly at that point early in the fire.
And Nick, you had mentioned this morning that we were trying to get some replenishment, saying get some of these firefighters who have been on 24/7 some break. Has that happened yet?
They're working on that. We've moved to, we're very quickly going to be a type 1 incident actually as of tomorrow, which is the largest scale incident, the most complex type. That's due to the size of the fire and the multiple jurisdictions involved. And so that will bring in additional resources and coordination and money to continue to fight the fire. At this point, though, we've been getting resources from all over. You'll see trucks from other states at this point arriving here on scene. And our, as I mentioned earlier today, our heavy air tankers are actually based out of Canada.
Are they flying, by the way? Is your air support flying at this point?
It should be up today, yeah. We've got some Type 3 helicopters, a couple of those, Type 1 helicopters, which are the larger ones, and then the heavy air tankers out of Canada, and then the support aircraft that go along with that attack and lead aircraft.
Do you expect the fire to grow?
That's a difficult question. In terms of the fire size, our goal is to keep it contained. Obviously, we're still at 0% containment, so we hope it doesn't grow. But right now, it's not contained. It's still a dangerous situation, and we're continuing to monitor it on an ongoing basis.
Nick, what area did the governor see? What part of the fire? Was there a certain part of the fire?
I don't know what areas the governor toured. I was not a part of that, so I did briefly see him visit one of the evacuation centers that I was located at for a briefing that we were doing, but he just came in pretty informally at that point after the briefing.
How high is your confidence that people who were willing to evacuate and wanted to get out may not have made it out, at least 100?
I can't. I won't speculate on whether anybody didn't make it out at this point. We're still looking into that. We have a concern that could be the case, but no verification either way, and no assessment of likelihood or not.
Nick, as far as the size of this fire, can you give us perspective where it ranks in the sizes of fires that we've had in the state? Where is it closest to, say, the Haven, which was the largest?
Yeah, I've got all that back in my office. I've been out in the fire for I'm not sure how long at this point, so I couldn't tell you all the detailed numbers, but certainly 14,000 plus acres is a very, very large wildfire. Acreage is one component of this. As important to us is the whole life safety component and the loss potentially of homes and the displacement of people. As far as I know, this is the largest displacement of homeowners that we've had, certainly in recent history in Larimer County.
How difficult is it to communicate with residents because of cell phone coverage? It's really spotty up there. Are you guys relying on landlines only, or?
Yeah, I can tell you that cell phones are difficult. We have a few satellite phones on the emergency responder side. If people are up there and only have cell phones and no landlines, that can make it very difficult, even if they register through the LEDA911.org system, for them to even receive a call. So certainly that's a concern. Radio traffic in terms of the emergency responders is also very difficult in this terrain. We do have areas where radio communications are limited, even with the systems we have in place at full capacity at this point.
Yesterday, the sheriff said this was basically his worst nightmare come true, or the worst nightmare for the county come true. Is it continuing along kind of trajectory today, or plan holding it?
You know, certainly it's concerning us to have such a large wildfire, residents displaced, and concerns about life safety and all those things. But I could tell you our personnel are working not only very hard, but very smart to get a handle on this thing. And so it's a coordinated effort. There's a lot of hard work going on. So in terms of that, I feel like, you know, we're doing what we need to do and working very hard to turn the corner on this thing.
Can you go into specifics on your protection of Buckhorn Mountain?
No, I don't have any other details on the efforts. I know we used air to drop water and retardant and suppressant in that area to preserve the the radio communications capabilities, but I don't have details beyond that. And that started happening yesterday, late in the day, and you know, before nightfall.
Do you confirm that there might be one person missing? Have you heard anything upwards of 10? Any kind of larger numbers?
I can't say any number of people that might be missing. We don't know for sure if anybody's missing. We just have concerns that that could be the case, and so we're looking into that and want to investigate that very thoroughly and make sure we've got our facts straight. So it's a concern that we have that we wanted to share and explain, but it takes a while to investigate that, to contact folks that might know of whereabouts of anybody that may be unaccounted for, to get on scene given it's a fire area. And so we're hoping for the best there, but we do have those concerns. But no, I can't say whether it be 1 or 10 or somewhere between there. Hopefully it's lower or no folks that are unaccounted for. We're just working to find that information.
Do you anticipate that there will be more structures damaged today if the fire goes on?
That I don't know. You know, again, we're working real hard on structure protection. That's one of the primary focuses, second to only to life safety. So we hope that's not the case. And as the sheriff mentioned at the briefing earlier, there's been some heroic efforts already to not only get folks out in the evacuations where we've had deputies with, you know, flames right in their area, and they're not even trained firefighters. They're out there going door to door, but also structure protection. There's been some, in one case we heard of a structure that was literally on fire that they were able to get out and protect that structure. It's largely still intact, and others where they've done excellent work to create defensible space and protect the structure. So that work continues today. We certainly hope to not have an increase in that. However, given the size of the fire area, some of it is just getting in there and getting more information and determining that there may be structures that were previously damaged or destroyed that aren't in that 18 that we're just unaware of. Though from what I've heard, that we feel that the 18 is pretty accurate at this point.
Any worry that people are having difficulty getting out in the nature of this fire today?
You know, other than the concerns I expressed earlier about whether everybody got out or chose to get out initially, and us still investigating that, I think people are able to get in and out. I know there still are issues with livestock and getting livestock out. We talked about the wolf sanctuary that's up in the Risk Canyon area, and they're still working, I think, to get some of the wolves that have been relocated to their out, and wish those folks all well with those efforts. Any other questions at this point?
Number of firefighters?
We have 250 approximately on the ground, plus about 15 engines, and then the air resources that we have up in the air, and then lots of support personnel. I don't know how many deputies and other responders that are assisting with various components of the fire operations. Anything else? The next.
When is the next briefing?
The next briefing will be at, let me double check that, or Christy, tell me if you know. I think it's 3 p.m. I believe, but let me just double check that. Actually, it's 3:30. 3:30 this afternoon in the same location. Then we're planning one at 8 o'clock tonight. So thank you very much.
Okay, that was Nick Christensen, Larimer County spokesperson, giving us an update on the High Park fire. Again, it is now 14,000 acres, 0% containment, so you know this firefight is still going very strong right now. You were watching the aerial attack, and he was talking about some tankers from Canada having come in to help the attack as well. A map so you can see the fire area. So it's just west of Fort Collins, west and a little bit north of Masonville there as well. They've contacted 1,600 phone lines. You know, there are plenty of homes, plenty of cabins up in that area, so it's hard to say exactly how many people affected, but they've contacted 1,600 phone lines. Right now, they do not know what started this fire. That is something that they will start working on when they send some investigators in, but for now, they're just working to make sure that people get out safely. They're trying to set up a perimeter so they can get some containment of this fire, and they are constantly having other crews come in from other states, and then tomorrow additional crews as well. So this is an ongoing firefight. We're staying on top of this story, and we'll bring you live coverage again this afternoon for that other update. Always on the denverchannel.com for full coverage. Thanks for joining us.